everyone. So I love reading. It's kind of my thing. I bring a book or a Kindle everywhere I go, but I've been focusing on streaming and boxing, so staying consistent with reading has been a little chaotic. But somehow I still managed to read 8 books in the first 3 months of this year, and I'm super proud of that. My plan is to read 36 books this year, so we're not exactly ahead, but we're also not completely off track either. So I figured I'd go through every book that I've read in this first quarter, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I thought was worth the purchase, and everything in between, because some of these I got some thoughts. And if you like this video, feel free to give it a like or comment down below any books you plan to put on your list, maybe have read already, or anything that you're interested in. I started this year off with Brimstone by Callie Hart, which is the second book in the Fae and Alchemy series. I'll put the photo of the book right here. We're following Ceres's journey after Quicksilver, and that's all I'm going to say because if I say any more than that, it's going to give half of the first book away. Brimstone is included in the romantasy genre, and it has both Fae and magic elements in it. I had really high hopes for this book. My book club last year read the first book, and I believe we gave it an 8 out of 10, but the writing just fell so flat for me. I felt like there was no risk factor within the entire plot of this book, so I'm giving this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars. I was supposed to read The Poppy Wars by R.F. Kuang last year, but it ended up getting pushed, and I did get around to it this quarter. The Poppy War is a dark fantasy novel that follows a war orphan named Rin and her journey through a military academy and her discovery of shaman magic, only to be pulled into an actual war. I enjoyed following Rin's story in Sinagard among the other students, and it was good. I'm not gonna say it was great. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I wasn't as hooked as I wanted to be or expected to be because I had heard so many great things about this book. I gave The Poppy War a 3.5 out of 5, but stay tuned because I did end up reading the rest of the series, which you will see in this video because I did have hope. The next book I read is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. It is the second book in his Hierarchy series. This is more of a sci-fi book, and we are continuing the story of Viz Telemus, his dangerous secret, and the impending threats of the Cataclysm. I loved book 1 in this series, and James did not disappoint with this one. However, I did not like it as much as the first one by a very small margin. James is a great writer, and it's so refreshing to read, especially after a book like Brimstone, but I think the side characters of this book really needed to be more of a focal point and have a bigger role and effect on Viz. I think they kind of started to blur together for me just a little bit, but I will be reading the next one when it comes out, so I'm giving this book a 3.75 out of 5. Okay, here's where I started getting distracted because I had read 3 very long books and wasn't particularly wowed by them, so I moved to other hobbies, and I don't know if that's relatable at all, but we'll move to the next book anyways. I had never read the classic Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte in school, and when I heard that there was a movie coming out on Valentine's Day, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to do it. I listened to the audiobook mostly because, girl, it is hard to read the paperback copy of this book. So I would definitely recommend listening to the audiobook unless you have cheat sheets to help you read the physical copy, which there are some online that you can find to help you along the way. I'm giving this book a 3.5 out of 5. It really isn't a love story, and I think most movies and people pitch it as that. It's a lot of generational trauma, and I think I hated almost every character in it, rightfully so. It provoked a lot of emotions out of me. I was so angry at points. There were points where I was actually kind of bored, and then somewhere I wish I could just grab people by the shoulders and go like this. In the end, it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me, and the movie was not good in my opinion. I'm sorry to all the girlies out there. I thought it was not good. It was not a good adaptation of the original now that I can compare it. See, I told you I was going to read the next one, so we're going to talk about The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy, and I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I'm sorry, y'all. Rin, she is just so insufferable to me. Her growth is so slow. It feels like she keeps making the same mistakes over and over, and it makes me so angry, and that's all I'm going to say. I wanted to love this book so bad, especially because of its connection and exposure of war crimes and how war affects everybody. But Rin is so insufferable to me. I might be a little biased because I love a strong female protagonist, and she was just not that to me. I would say the Poppy Wars was the most disappointing series for me in Q1. I had heard such great things about this trilogy and I wish I loved it more, but I was severely upset after reading almost 700 pages through the first and second book. A lone astronaut named Rylan Grace wakes up with amnesia on a spaceship and he's tasked with saving Earth. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir was fantastic. I loved this book. I have an emotional connection to Rocky, which is insane. Even though it is full of scientific terms and processes, I never felt like I was confused or couldn't understand what was happening in the grand scheme of things. I give this book a 4.75 out of 5, and I'm very, very excited to see the movie. When this comes out, the movie is already out, so definitely either read it and go watch it or definitely go see the movie. Project Hail Mary is the best book I read in Q1, and it is the easiest to read by far. We had to conclude Rin's story because I had already gone through 2 books, so The Burning God by R.F. Kuang was the 3rd book in the Poppy Wars trilogy. I gave it a shot. I really did. I had already read the first 2. I had to read the last one. I still felt how I did in book 2 about the harsh effects of war on innocent civilians, and I felt like those moments were more emotionally impactful to me than Rin's story as the main character, which is really unfortunate to me. I'm giving this one a 3 out of 5 as well. I'm just happy to have read the entire series, have it under my belt, and maybe I'll give it a reread in the future, and maybe I'll like it more. The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne is the last book I read in Q1, and I'm honestly not done with it. I only have 100 pages left. Don't come for me, but look how beautiful she is. I've been yearning to read this series. I had read a John Gwynne series last year, and this one has been on my list for the last 3 years. It follows 3 warriors in a world where the gods have died and they have left their bones behind, and the land is ripe for war right now. This is an epic fantasy with Viking era themes, and trust John Gwynne because that man literally does Viking reenactments IRL, so I trust him with my life on this subject. I love his writing personally. I love having multiple POVs in a book. It keeps it fresh and exciting, and from the jump, I was immediately hooked. I love his writing because there's almost always a found family complex to it, and I'm super excited to finish it and read the next 2 books. Future May, please insert my rating right here of John Gwynne, but I'm sure it's over a 4. I have already loved it so much. Those are all the books I read in the first quarter of 2026. 8 down, 28 to go. We'll see if I can keep this up. If you have any recommendations, please put them in the comments below. I'm always looking for books to add to my never-ending list, but I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.